Welcome to the first edition, grand opening, whatever you want to call it, of, well, I haven't given it a name yet of what I'm going to call these, but I'm going to start publishing computer tips frequently. It could be something simple, it could be something really complicated. It could be anything, and you just never know what I might create on a day-to-day basis, or whatever I happen to decide, which I still haven't decided yet. Look how well I've got things planned out here. Today, I would like to discuss computer placement. And what I mean by that is, like, if you have a computer, desktop computer, such as this blue shiny thing. Of course, it's going to be see-through and blue and lights and all that like mine, but if you have a desktop computer or even a laptop, where to put your computer when you're setting it up on your computer desk or stand or table or whatnot. I really recommend for about any desktop or laptop of any kind, except for maybe the low-end, low-power, low-heat computers. I mean, besides those, I would certainly suggest doing like I have done with this, which is setting it out at the desk, out on a stand somewhere else, and not where a lot of people place their computers, in the cubbyhole on their desk. Hold on, I have to take a little brief intermission, and no, this is not advertising for Mountain Dew. Also under Pepsi. Yeah. So anyway, I do not suggest putting it in the cubbyhole that comes with a lot of people's computer desks down here. There's quite a few reasons why I suggest not to. The big one is ventilation and cooling. These cubby holes do not really allow for much ventilation. You open this up, what do you have? Okay, you have no ventilation on the sides because it's all board or wood or whatever it happens to be, particle board. The back of a lot of these desks, again, no ventilation or very little because there's a backing to the desk. And yes, you could take the backing out, but, you know, here's the other problem. Right here, that I am tapping on, where's the air supposed to go? Because the heat goes up, and it's just going to hit this right here, and it's going to get stuck, and the heat's going to be trapped. Now, if you pulled this shelf out, and the keyboard's on, back in here there is an opening where heat could escape. The problem being, if this keyboard shelf is shut like that, the heat is not going to be able to escape, and it's just going to keep building up inside the cubbyhole. Now, this happens to have a door. Okay, well, you can leave the door open and it can ventilate a little bit, sure, but the thing is it's not going to ventilate good enough, because all you're really going to ventilate is the front. The back's still going to have heat pushing back and building up back there and up here at the top, and really you aren't going to gain a lot. So I would certainly suggest to not store a computer in there, even though a lot of people do, and it might be convenient for it to be out of the way, but really I don't suggest it. Reason number 2. Dust, and this kind of also goes hand in hand with ventilation, but dust builds up there, and computers do attract a lot of dust, and they build up a lot of dust because there's fans blowing air, which means dust is going to build up and cake up on them. And when it's down one of these cubby holes, it's really going to be asking for some dust. So, which would just even limit its breathing and ventilation furthermore. The third reason is one that sometimes can get overlooked, but you realize this as soon as you go to set up your computer down in a cubby hole like that. That would be due to cable management. Hooking up your computer down there is obviously no joy. It's hard to get back behind there and get your wires run back there. And should you have to disconnect your computer or reconnect your computer, it's a royal pain in the hiney to do it. So, I mean, there's more pros or more cons than pros to having your computer down there. So, I just leave it up here. Now, the next suggestion some people might say is, well, put it on the floor. Well, I don't agree with that either, and there's a couple reasons why. If you have carpeting, there's the first thing. If you have carpeting, especially in a drier climate or during the winter time, most anywhere, you're going to have a high amount of static electricity. Computers and electronics in general do not get along well with static electricity at all, and you can damage your machine or make it fall flat on its face where it freezes up and crashes, or any kind of weird behavior by static electricity, and having it on the floor or close to the floor is asking for trouble. Another thing is, even if you don't have carpeting, you know, if you have like wet shoes, wet feet, whatnot, it's going to get wet. It's going to draw moisture down there on the floor. That's probably not generally a good thing, you know. With it being down low on the floor, you could kick your computer, which wouldn't be a good thing either. Well, unless you're purposely kicking your computer because you're mad at it. But just don't even have it on the floor either. It just isn't worth it. And then another thing is, if you happen to have a computer in a basement like this happens to be, even though it's an enclosed room, if you get standing water in the basement and your computer's sitting on the floor, well, uh-oh. So it's just better to set your computer out on your computer desk. If you have a big enough desk where you can actually set it out on your desk, fine. Otherwise, get a separate stand and set it on. And make sure that you pull the computer out a little bit so it can get ventilation and back behind it. And as far as laptops, well, most cases you're going to have your computer or your laptop sitting out on a desk. Make sure that your laptop, wherever you're setting it, not only gets ventilation around the sides of it and behind of it, but also underneath it. Make sure, you know, that it's on like a surface, like on a blanket or something. And some people, yeah, sure, will set it on their blanket when they're in their bed with their laptop, but it does not get very good ventilation underneath it then. There's fans and ventilation normally underneath laptops as well. And it can get kind of toasty, so I mean, you can do it, but I certainly wouldn't do it all the time, and I would probably leave your computer out on a stand somewhere as a flat surface where it can get ventilation underneath it. I think I've blabbed on long enough about computer ventilation and placement. I think that will do it for session number 1. I'm sure I'm going to get some hate mail and that, but that's okay. If you have other ideas or suggestions or things that you don't agree with, speak up. I have no warranty. This is just my own suggestion and my own thought about this stuff, and this will go along with my remainder of my videos that I will create. It is just based upon what I know or what I think is true. I'm just a human being. I'm just Jojo the Monkey Boy. I'm not to say an expert for everything, so I could be wrong with some things, so but if I'm wrong or you disagree with something, point it out. And yes, going back, one more thing with the laptops, you can buy stands for them that sit more at an angle, so you get more ventilation underneath them, or you can also buy cooling pads for them, etc., etc. But the main thing is to just keep the laptop on a flat surface. Anyway, I've rambled plenty long enough now, and I think I'm going to put an end to this obnoxious video, and until the next episode, which I talk like this because I like to talk like this, because I don't know why, I just do like this, okay. Okay, I'm going to end the video now, so cheers.